Welcome to the Recovery Centered Podcast, the space for honest conversation about healing, hope, and the journey through mental health and addiction recovery. Each episode, we sit down with people making a difference, from therapists and researchers to change makers and to survivors. Now to explore what recovery really looks like in the world. This podcast is produced in collaboration with Beachway Therapy Center. Hey, everybody. Hello again. My name is Tim Roberto. I am your host. Welcome to another episode of the Recovery Centered Podcast. I think we're going to in for an amazing show, amazing cast. I have my friend here, Sarah Menniti. Hey, Sarah. uh, Sarah and I have known each other for a really long time, and sometimes it's a little longer than we see each other, and then sometimes we see each other. Like, regardless, though, from the day we first met, we always had that mojo. You just have that thing with people, that transmission, and so it's an honor to have her here. I think she's going to be an incredible addition to the podcast and for our mission, and that mission is to always to reach that one person. So, hey, Sarah, say hi.
Hi, thanks for having me on here. I'm glad to be here. Excited to be able to have a conversation. Like you said, it's always great to connect and being able to have like honest, authentic conversations.
Right? Yeah, I know it's and I think that's the attraction of the recovery centered podcast, because a lot of things are always so I don't know about organized, but just so maybe rigid. Maybe that's not the right, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Everything's like, and then you got people reading off of letters so they can ask the next question. And it's like, yo, you got too amazing of people here. I know you're
Mhm.
amazing. Otherwise, I wouldn't have you on, because this is really important to me. We support our community through here, and we reach a lot of people, and so to have you here, and I want it to be real. I want people to see real, because game recognizes game and real recognizes real. And you and I always had that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've known you. Gosh, I don't know, 7 years now, somewhere in there, right? 6, 7.
I think like three.
That's it. Oh man, see what happens when you turn 63. You can't even keep up anymore. I did make it to the studio though.
You did.
That I did, and I was on time. So
You
I'm
were.
doing okay.
You are.
All right.
Yeah.
So in the last 3 years, like I said, it's been on and off. What's some of your latest accomplishments? Like, where are you at now, and where did
Yeah.
you land?
Yeah. We met working in residential treatment,
Yeah.
and since then I've worked in recovery and residential treatment, and currently, just as of last month, opened my own private practice.
Ooh, yeah, that's what's up, man. You
Yeah.
went for the plunge, huh?
I went for the plunge.
Good for you.
Yeah. I feel like something bigger was guiding me. Like,
Yeah.
I just kept feeling this nudge, and my supervisor last year was telling me, she was like, "I know you're gonna do your own thing." And I was like, "No, I'm not ready for that."
Yeah.
And then it just happened, and I felt guided.
Love
So
that.
so I had to listen and listen, and I felt guided.
Love that.
And it took a lot of work to be able to feel secure to take the leap
Yeah.
and to push past the fear.
Yeah, for sure.
And to step out there and really, like, be like, "Okay, I'm gonna be seen."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's wonderful, like, I think that's so cool. Like, we get so removed from ourselves, but we have all this creative intelligence inside of us. Like, it's just amazing, like this whole system, and to listen to it and then walk through the fear. Because initially,
Mhm.
right, the mind or whatever wants to protect you, and
Mhm.
but you're watching everybody else walking up to the line and flying, kind of, So I love that. So
Yeah.
you follow through,
Mhm.
you overcame.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, that's been a big lesson in my journey, is not letting fear win.
Mm,
And, we were kinda just talking about that right before the
yeah,
and it really resonates, because the voice in my mind is, like, naturally wants to let the fear win. Like, even on my way here this morning, I was like, What did I sign up for? Do I really wanna go be seen?" Um, and it's the skill of learning how to not let that part of me win. because for a long time it did. And so
Yeah.
having the resilience to know and trust myself and not let that part kind of keep me small. And like you said, trusting that it's less about you and more of something bigger is guiding and kind of stepping out of the way to let that lead.
Oh, I totally believe that you're being guided right now because I always admired you and your, to do what you do is, you always see people at their worst. And to show up the way you always showed up, caring, loving, insightful, had a lot of
Mhm.
wisdom, and just I don't know, you're just really good person, and
Thanks.
I admire that, and that's what I think is behind all of that because we need more people like you out there because I'm not getting political or anything. It just seems to be getting wackier and wackier out there, and to have some steady eddies in the space I think is wonderful. So yeah, I think you're gonna
Mhm.
do just fine.
Thanks.
What is your specialty? Like, do you have a certain area that you really love? Like that's your jam?
Mhm. Yeah, I think my jam is working with I really love working with perfectionists and people pleasers. It's my people, I get them.
They're your tribe?
And love working with trauma, but ultimately just really working with people who have some kind of aspect that they gained through an experience in the past that's no longer serving them. So, like,
Mm,
we typically think of it as like a self-defeating behavior and these um, ways we've learned to navigate or survive, but they're really causing us harm at this point. And so I really love that area, and rather than calling it a self-defeating behavior, calling it a nervous system protection mechanism, right? Even
yeah.
even the most destructive ones, we learned it at some point to cope
Mm,
with something horrible we were going through or something that we didn't have the tools to know how to respond to it in a better way. And so when we can look at it like that and see it through that lens of curiosity and compassion, we can take away some of that shame,
mm,
which then can allow us to get curious, to say, what's a better way that I could respond?
mm. So when somebody's getting to you, like, is it their natural instinct to want to be free, or kind of like how some of the 12-step recovery programs say, happy, joyous, and free? Is
Mhm.
it they can't take it anymore? Are they being threatened? Like, what do you think gets somebody to that point, like, where they just, "Wow, she looks like she knows what she's doing. I love her bio on Psychology Today," or whatever you're on, and,
Mhm.
what do you think starts all that? Do you have any, wise counsel on that? Like
Yeah. I think for every therapist, it's going to be different.
Mm,
For me, I really do well with the person that's like motivated. They're at that point where they're
mm,
like, "No, I'm pretty sick of how things have been. I'm pretty tired of this. I see and I can accept and own like this isn't working and I'm ready for change." Like that's who I really work well with is
mm,
the person that is motivated, that's again,
yeah,
whether they recognize it or something deeper is calling out. Because sometimes people have a little resistance and like
mm.
I can, but there is that willingness to change.
How do you feel about this? Because I love the word willingness, because a lot of people you and I work with, I think, are extremely intelligent, but here they are, struggling and their life has become unmanageable. And then, we have the people who work on or operate on willpower. I'm
Mhm.
not saying intellect and willpower aren't good. They can be good, but I think with mental health and SUD, they can be very detrimental. Like I'll never do that again. Here we are.
Mhm.
But I love that word willingness because for me, I think that trumps the intellect and
Mhm.
the willpower, especially when you want to get what, like, you have to be willing. I don't know any other way to do it because a lot of the intellect that so many people use, it like I feel it just outmaneuvers them and makes them like the smartest, dumbest person they know,
Mhm.
and they keep trying to, and then so I get that,
Yeah.
when people show up wanting, because then you can use your skill set.
Yeah.
You can show them, look, I got it. Like, instead of going to Home Depot for ice cream, come to Sarah Menniti, like I can show you how to manage your life. Like I can show you how to get out of this. I can start pointing out to you why you're doing certain things and these awful behaviors that aren't good for you. I can show you how to get out of them, like,
Mhm.
and that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because the intellect, the mind can trick us. It's really whenever we have these strong protectors, they're really good at convincing us that what we're thinking is a fact or
Mm,
that it is the truth, or we can really understand something cognitively. But my style is very like somatic, nervous system based. I love working with heady people and like that live up here, and it's our work is to get you in your body
mm,
and to
love it.
get you into some of that subconscious work because that's really like the roots of it. And
Mm,
if our conscious mind knows something but the subconscious isn't buying in, then we're going to keep showing up in those patterns, or those limiting beliefs are still going to keep driving us and get really tricky at convincing
yeah.
us that it's the truth.
That always kind of intrigued me too, like how the mind is part of the body, but it's so separate than say, like you said, like down in the pits of our bellies or our souls, like they're just so different. Like the mind, I don't know, creates a thought in its head, and then after you give it enough time to marinate in there, and then the mind convinces itself
Mhm.
that this is true,
Yeah.
but it will never tell you, hey, it's just a thought, man. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like a thought doesn't necessarily. And it just boom, 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 boom all day, and I
Yeah.
just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's that skill of being able to, like, step back and be the observer
Mm,
and, like, look in rather than, you know, "I'm thinking this, so it must be mine. I must need to claim this,"
yeah,
and that's part of the work with looking at those protection factors that we look in is our nervous system based on whatever state we're in, right? Like a lot of us are familiar with like fight or flight or freeze. And then we have like our safe, like we're grounded kind of homeostasis state. If based on those states we're in, our perspective changes. So the
mm.
way we see ourselves, the way we see the world changes. And again, it'll seem like fact when we're in that state. But if we shift, then we see things totally different.
But why does it boil down to having that? Like, why does it boil down to I have to do what I don't want to do? Like, what is that ego? Like, this is where I get a little confused with like Freud and maybe some Jung. Like, is it ego? Is it fear? Is it I don't know, man. Just like the natural instinct to protect. Like,
Mm,
you got all these different things, and it's just like, I'll go to YouTube. I want to fix something. I don't even know this person, and I listen to everything they say. Well, that was easy. You know what I mean? I don't have an
yeah.
argument with them. You don't know what you're talking about. How many times you gonna say that? And no, if I don't hear it right, I put it on reverse. I listen to it again.
Hmm.
It's like, you know what I mean? But my gosh, like I work with first responders a lot, and those guys and gals, man, they're like unbelievable people as far as their commitment, their disciplines,
Hmm.
that heroic, there's that bravery, and they run in, they
Mhm.
do amazing work. And I always ask them, how much, you guys get the best training, like the best training there is. But do you ever get any training on how to help yourself? And they always go, nope.
Yeah.
So you got somebody or the people you deal with, either way, like most people, we're here for everybody else except ourselves. And then when we're not doing well, the phone is like 1,000 pounds.
Mhm.
It's just so hard. Like
Yeah.
that's the spot I'm always trying to get into, like
Mm.
that strange mental blank spot, like, man, what is that?
Like, why is it so hard in those moments to do what might actually help us?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it all boils down to fear. I think. I'm not positive with that either, but, for me, I think everything boils down to fear. I just do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a very common one that drives a lot, and I think it's dependent, but kind of in, like, what you were just describing where there's there's that need you see you're used to helping people, that's the comfort zone, that's the safety zone of, like, I help people, then, like, the focus
Gotcha.
isn't on me. It's different for each person, but maybe that's, like, how we learned to stay safe is
Mhm.
by being that protector, being the caregiver, the fixer, like, that was our role. Um
Which is, a lot of, and then a lot of families, right? The
Mhm.
caretaker kinda role.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it's less safe or comfortable to bring the focus back to self. Like
Mm.
we can distract through that. Or when it comes time to picking up that phone, again, kind of coming back to nervous systems, there's a state called the dorsal state, which is where you basically go into shutdown. That's where we experience like that numbness or dissociation.
Oh, wow.
And when we're there, we're not able to experience connection. So
Mm.
that's where we feel like a disconnect from ourselves,
Uh-huh.
but we also experience disconnect from others. So biologically in that state, it is just harder
Mm.
to pick up the phone and connect with
Uh,
someone, which is why sometimes we just need someone that can sit there and be with us. They don't have to say anything. It's just that co-regulation of knowing, hey, they're there. But
mm.
it is actually harder to reach out and connect in that moment. There's also the fear, like you said, of being seen in whatever struggle we're there. If we are typically known as like the strength or the protector or like the whatever our role is, there's a vulnerability in struggling and like
Mm.
asking for help. So
Are you still doing the, are you still doing a lot of the outdoor stuff?
mhm. Yeah, I love
Uh,
that work.
and that works, right? I guess there's always somebody who wants to do the outdoor and get therapy at the same time. Not that, being outdoors isn't therapeutic, but,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think, was it stand-up board
Yeah, I
that you do a lot of, or?
I work with a local nonprofit, Stoked on Life.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so we work with a lot of treatment programs in the area and we get people out for aquatic therapy.
Yeah.
Um and doing research to show the benefits and improvements that it has on mental health and recovery by being near water
Mm,
specifically.
mm,
Um, I know for me and my own healing, nature was where I retreated. I'm from Georgia, so it was the mountains, but
yeah.
um
Mm.
I lived in the woods when I went through a tough time, and I just, like, hiked and went up there with my dog and got in nature, and it's just so healing because, again, when we're in that space when it's harder to connect with others, if we can experience that connection with nature, it has that same similar
Soothing,
co-regulating
right?
space.
Soothing.
Mhm.
I think it's probably like you felt safe,
Mhm.
right, in the woods
Yeah.
kinda thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just so still, like, something like that, I guess it's just, like, such a perfect example of now, like, everything's now, and
Mhm.
it's all so self-governing, right? They're not all trying to hurt each other, and
Yeah.
they're all just coexisting, and,
Mhm.
you could have a field of all yellow daisies, and there's one pink daisy in there, and they don't, like, ridicule it or mock it or, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're different than us," just no, it's
Yeah.
everything's just flowing in the breeze.
Yeah. We can learn so much from nature.
Yeah, and your credential, LMHC?
Mhm.
Yep, yep, LMHC.
LMHC.
Nice, and you graduated out of?
I went to Mercer University in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I completed my master's, and then, like, a week or 2 later, we moved down here. Wrote it out till then, and then well, yeah, we came to the
Yeah. Did
beach.
you get your licensure in Georgia too yet, or you're just Florida for now, or?
No, just Florida for now. I'm waiting the mental health counselors, we have a compact that just started in the
Uh-huh.
country, so I'm waiting for that to go into effect, and
What
then
does that mean? Like, several states are gonna join
yeah,
now,
I
like,
think there's, like, 40 something
oh,
there's
wonderful.
there's a lot of states that are involved now.
So, like, kinda like an international accreditation, right, or licensure, or I meant
National, but
national, yeah, that's
yes,
what I meant, no.
to allow us to practice across states more
Yeah.
easily. I think COVID opened that up a lot more where we could practice telehealth and seeing like, okay, let's find a way to be able to reach more people in different
Yeah, like,
places.
unite, get some solidarity to it because it's so different, and there's so many great people out there that
Yeah.
are licensed that just really love what they do, and they're really good at it, and, but you got all these things. I can't go there. I can't do that. I can't go there. I just have to stay here. And
Yeah.
so it can be really frustrating, because I have a charity, and
Yeah.
I help first responders, and,
Mhm.
it just keeps growing. And it just tells me one thing, that they're just as human as us, and they have a lot of demand. They don't
Mhm.
have any, like, it's so sad. Like, I have, I don't know, like their EAP, and I'm not disrespecting any process at all. Everything's got to have. I get it, but
Mhm.
it's just, what can I do better? You know what I mean? I'm not going to judge that. It's just when I hear like EAP taking 3 months, when I hear we don't have any appointments for 2 months, or they don't want to tell HR, and
Yeah.
they don't want to do any of that. And like, I just look at it like, gosh, what? I started doing something about it,
Yeah.
because I know a lot of wonderful people that are licensed, and that it really means a lot to me, to both ways, what they're going through, and the relationships that I have.
Yeah.
And it just, it's so annoying sometimes, because I started right here in Palm Beach County, because we have one of the highest death by suicide rates out of any other county in Florida. And as a Marine who had his own mental health issues
Mm.
and substance abuse, um, I came out of the hole 19 years ago. So in my 15th year, I just wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And it just keeps growing. It keeps, okay, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean? But it also tells me, man, I was onto something, kind of like you. You were getting that itch to start your own practice, to get going. Like,
Mhm.
I knew, despite the response, because, everything's good and fine.
Mhm.
Then we went into Georgia, and we went
Mhm.
into North Carolina, and then New Jersey. It's like, and then you got all this licensure, and then I know
Yeah.
some amazing clinicians here, but they can't do anything, because it's like, well, I had known you for 15 years, like, I trust you, but I don't know this person, like. But at the end of the day, this person's window's open. I'm not gonna close it just because I don't know you. You do have a license, which I think out of the gate for me makes you kind of legit. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'd rather know you. Like,
Yeah. No, I think it's very important work. And I think first responders deserve and need that care and support when they take care of so much for the communities and for the people, and to be able to be supported and prioritize themselves as well.
yeah, I had a fella out of Georgia yesterday. I don't know if I should read the text. I mean, I wouldn't read his name, but I just give you a scenario, so you can just, so we can bring some validation. What I was saying, and Sarah was saying, they had a call. It's 4 month old, 4 month old that got ejected, and they had to do the CPR, and her little hand held his hand, and he's just, it was really tough. Fast forward, she never made it, but boy, they tried and tried and tried and tried, and the hospital was like 25 minutes away. So, the one person was doing that for 25 minutes,
Mm.
just in that state, I'm
Yeah.
not stopping. And it was it was really tough, crying. And this fella's an Army Afghanistan combat vet, you know, and now he's first responder. And
Mhm.
they, he's just, they're just wired to do what they do. Like, they're just wired to do. Like, who the heck? You come out of Afghanistan, 2 tours of combat,
Mm.
and then you come here and you're a first responder, and then you're going through stuff like this. But even behind all that bravery and that commitment and dedication, and just, you have to have that server's heart, like that server's mentality, that soul,
Mhm.
too. There's still a human being behind the shield, or the shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where, again, like you said, it's their training.
Mm,
They're trained to n put the emotions back
mm.
because you have to for survival, and to be able to just jump into action and do. And then you get out of that situation, you get out of the clock, and then all that stuff is just there. And then that's where like the discomfort comes in.
Yeah.
And like, what do I do with all of this? And
Mm,
then you just got to go right back to work and then have another day with possible
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah, or go home and say, "Hey, how you doing? Hi, everybody. How you doing?"
Right. like parent or partner or whatever your role is.
And that's one of your areas, trauma, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that. Yeah. So you got your practice. Was it
Mhm.
located here somewhere in like Palm Beach County area or
Yeah, I'm in Jupiter.
oh Jupiter?
Yeah.
Okay, Jupiter, Florida. Is that still
Yeah.
Palm Beach County? I think so, right?
Yeah, still Palm Beach County.
Okay. And so is it you take clients most days, private pay,
Mhm.
insurance, both?
Yeah. I work primarily with women,
Okay.
and I'm open most days of the week.
Okay.
And then, I accept Aetna and then private pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you planning on getting paneled with anybody else, or are you just holding off for right now?
Exploring it.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Virtual? Do you do a virtual or
Yeah, virtual and then in person, and then something that I'm looking to bring in this year is doing more intensives. So offering EMDR intensives for the people where it's like harder to come in more regularly for weekly sessions
gotcha?
or where, you know, hey, I'm ready to like again the highly motivated, ready to kind
Yeah.
of do some of the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because with
Be my YouTube Sarah,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, because with EMDR, you can kind of get in that flow and you're starting to do things, and then whenever the hour's up, then you have to contain it. So it can be helpful to say, okay, we're gonna come meet for a whole day or a couple days.
How many sessions does it take with EMDR? Like, what is there a starting and an ending, or is there at least like once you start, you got to do at least 5 or 6,
I
or
think,
is it depends just each time?
yeah, it depends on each person. It depends
Mhm.
on their history and what they're working on, their trauma. Um, if there's a larger history of trauma, it's probably going to be more sessions, but it really depends. I mean, you can do EMDR with someone for a year, 2 years. You can do an intensive where you're clearing out a layer, and then maybe they do well for a while and then they come back and they want to do some more later on.
Does that kind of like lay down like new neuro pathways, kind of EMDR? Is that so to keep it simple, like
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you can, if you do things enough, you can create a new pathway, right?
Hmm.
Correct, right?
Yeah. So essentially, kind of, I like to think of it as like a Christmas tree. So we have these, what would call like a neural network. And so if you have a limiting belief of like, I'm not good enough. So any moment that brings up that belief of I'm not good enough, that whole Christmas tree is getting lit up whenever you experience something, which is why sometimes we'll respond in a bigger way than what that situation seems like it deserves. So EMDR helps us, we kind of go through and clear out those different individual lights so that, we can shift out of that belief. And
Mm.
then through that, you open up doorways so that the adaptive belief can come in. And then we strengthen that.
Do you find that to be one of the most common things that need work to be that people need to work on is like the lack of self-worth, the insecurities
Yeah. I
and
mean, it's a big root. Like the I'm not good enough is a very common one, or I'm not safe.
is that like part of the programming that we as kids or kids, children experienced, like is that part of our programming or like was there something missing out of the gate, you think, or is that just something that's wired into some human beings out of the get go? Like it's just the way it is, kind of like.
I mean, I think it could be both. Sometimes we're like working on like epigenetics and like generational trauma of like
Mm,
maybe that's a belief that like has been passed through your bloodline.
yeah, because genes can morph,
Yeah.
correct, right? So,
Mhm.
like, say, like 5 generations ago, there was a lot of trauma, and then that changes a gene, and then once it's changed, it doesn't go back, right? And it
Yeah.
goes to the next generation, kind of.
Mhm. Yeah, and like we're wired to want to survive. And so if someone went through something, then you can have this protective response without necessarily having gone through that trauma.
Yeah.
Um Also, as children, we see in this very like black and white, all or nothing. And
Mm,
so if you could have a very like loving family and loving parents, and maybe they were busy, or like now, like there's a lot of like being on your cell phone and multitasking.
Mm.
And so maybe you're looking for that connection or care, and someone's like on their phone and not able to be fully present. And so then we can create through that moment a belief that's like, oh, well, I must not have been important enough.
Yeah.
Um and it's our brain at that age in younger years can't see the grayness or the complexity
Mm.
of it.
So MDR just takes people back to these situations, right? Circumstances that activate them as an adult.
Yeah, so we kind of like go back through it, but again, it's through that observer role. You're looking, um yeah, there was this great, like, I don't know if you watch Stranger Things, but
No.
there was a really great moment that kind of showed this, where it was basically, I won't give any spoilers, but
Uh,
kind of thinking of it like you're looking through this window at that experience while recognizing like I'm still sitting here in this present moment, but I'm reflecting back.
mm,
And as I do that, I may feel either what I felt in that moment in my body and in my
uh-huh.
emotions, or what I wasn't able to feel.
Mm,
So, like, if we went into a freeze and we didn't feel, you may have that response that your body needed to have and it didn't feel safe enough
uh,
to have. Or you may go back and feel through it, because in EMDR, we're not just working through the cognitions, but we're working through the felt sense in the body as well. So that when a moment comes up that our system sees as similar, but we're actually safe, it can feel safe, it can be present, it doesn't put on the guard
mm.
and the protecting.
Is there any examples you can give us, like, of
Yeah.
experiences you had with EMDR, like where it's taken people, or
Yeah.
you had to like respond like quickly or in the moment, like?
Yeah. Well, I can share a personal experience and
Oh,
just
that's
kind
awesome. Yeah.
of
Okay.
I'll share from my perspective. So again, I talked about having to kind of like prepare to launch this business and to
Mm,
step into this space.
yeah.
Last year I could really tell like I was being invited to work through my discomfort being seen. Like I learned like, oh, it's safe to blend in, to not be noticed, and to just kind of stay in the background.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Gotcha.
I was like, okay, if I want to do this, I'm gonna kind of have to be a little bit public facing. I'm gonna have a website. I'm gonna market, things like that.
Yep.
So I needed to work on that part of me that wanted to keep hiding. And so I did an EMDR intensive. It was a day long. I think we did like 5 or 6 hours.
No.
And it was so powerful. And oftentimes, like, the core memory that we go back to isn't what we expect. And so it was this moment. I was like, I think like 2 or 3, and it was like my parents arguing, and I was like hiding under a table.
Right.
And so that was like where I kept wanting to go when things felt scary or unsafe, is like this 2-year-old back under the table.
Oh, gotcha.
So my adult self through the EMDR basically went under the table and invited her out
Oh,
and
nice.
like took her to play.
Uh,
And so now when I have moments where I feel like things are scary or I wanna hide, I just, like, kind of imagine going back under that table with 2-year-old me
yeah.
and letting her know she's not alone, and then inviting her out to play, and, like, I feel this felt shift in my
Mm,
body.
wow. That's deep.
Mhm.
So it's true. Like, like I tell people a lot, man, like your only way out of this is in. Like you
Mhm.
got to go in. Everybody's got a default.
Yeah.
That was kind of like your default, right? You go
Yeah.
hide or, sit in the back, don't say anything.
Mhm.
Like, wow, that's amazing. So, and look at you
Yeah.
now showing up for podcasts.
I know.
You know what I mean? Getting in the car, come down and, the lovely scenic 95 and,
Yeah.
coming into the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, like, putting yourself on blast a little bit, sharing some of your personal stuff, and
Yeah.
wow, that's, my friends, is what I call willingness. That's willingness. That's a perfect example of willingness, doing what maybe you don't wanna do, or, that default, even though you wanna do it, the default always wins, takes you back under the table.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really awesome. Do you do lights with it too? Like, some people use lights, right?
I haven't gotten into the light bar. No, I have tappers that clients use, or they'll do, like, the butterfly taps like you see.
Yeah.
But typically I'll utilize tappers and then sometimes fingers, and
Yeah.
sometimes you're doing, like, foot tapping and tapping and
Oh, wow.
all the
Now, do you join with them to keep a like a, I'm doing what you're doing kind of thing, or you leave it all on them? Is it work like that's the more appropriate thing to do? Let them do it all, so there's no distraction, like with your feet making noise or.
Yeah, they're the ones doing it because you don't necessarily wanna go into that space while you're, like, holding the container for them.
Oh,
I mean, I'll
gotcha.
model it, but,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, no, they're the ones doing the work. I think that's why I really like EMDR and a lot of, like, the styles of therapy I use is I'm really just here to be a guide to help the person
Yeah,
access the wisdom that exists within them. Like, we know ourselves best.
yeah, I love
Again, we
that.
can have those tricky parts that
Yeah,
try to get us to do what's not actually helpful, but that's a part of the work
yeah,
is getting to know yourself and getting to know those different aspects that come in and how you can trust your core self.
yeah.
So I really as a therapist, I really just want to empower the person to find their wisdom.
And I think that's what makes you so great at what you do because you've experienced yourself, like the
Mhm.
power, the power of enlightenment and like the wisdom that we all carry. And
Yeah.
and that's what I love, man. I got like the best job in the world, man. I get to meet all these phenomenal people, that the message is always like really steady and very consistent. Work on yourself, do what you don't want to do, go in, challenge the default, challenge the thoughts.
Mhm.
It's like I always say, it's kind of like a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of hard. Like, we're so capable. I'll go back to what I was doing 20 minutes ago. We're so capable of like doing almost anything within reason,
Mhm.
except when it comes to us. Until we get to that point. Like you had your point,
Yeah.
I have my point. Somebody who's listening may be at the point, and because you overcame, your situations and circumstances, I overcame. You and I were willing this morning to meet, do what we do. We're not planning. I get it asked all the time, like, do you know where you're going? I have no idea because I just really believe how fabulous you are, and how you got all this creative intelligence and this intellect and balance, maturity. You've had your own experience, like you're like the best candidate, and you also have discipline. Like not everybody just bangs out a master's degree. Like it
Mhm.
takes a certain kind of discipline and then like a lot of dedication, and then you have to show up and you see people, I see people, therapists see people at their worst. We're always in this space, and then we know the importance of self-care. And I love you're where you're at. I love that you're at where you're at because like you get it. Because I always tell everybody, I'll tell you again, like, how do you understand something you've never experienced?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what makes you so great and so good at what you do and
Yeah.
committed. And I think it's awesome. And I hope in that 3-4 minute uh, runoff I just did there, that one person's listening to that and says, "That's it. He's right. I want that. I want that. I want what she has. I want what she does. Because what I'm doing is not working.
Mhm.
It's wonderful."
Yeah. I think it's the gift is the empathy, and maybe I haven't lived someone's particular situation, but I think when you have sat in the depths of pain and struggle, and when you've gone through things that just shatter you open, it it shifts how you connect and relate, or it has the ability to, because
100%.
not everyone responds in that way. But I had a really hard year in 2015 and went through a traumatic loss, and I used my stubbornness as my gift, and I just was like, I'm not going to let this be for nothing. I'm not going to let this like ruin me essentially. I wanted to create purpose, and it was very like again, something I guess bigger than me
Mm,
told me that right like in the moment.
mm.
And and so through that, I have the gift of being able to sit with people in their hardest moments
I love that.
because I know what it feels like to
Yeah,
deeply hurt.
yeah.
I may not know your situation, but I know what it is like to hurt. And I know that through that determination and resilience and you can crawl your way out and you can find your way
Heck
and
yeah.
you won't do it on your own. You find community and people to help you,
Yeah.
but you can create that change and anything is possible. I did this which is cool you said that because I did this meditation I think like 2 days ago and it was like a inner child meditation and like having like parents come through and say something and there was this voice of like you can do anything you put your mind to and it was the first time it really resonated like my whole system believed that
Love
and
it.
I was like wow that's really cool like we can do anything
For
we put
sure.
our mind to and I think there's one distinction I wanna make that I think is important is when we think of, like, doing things we don't want to,
Mm,
it's not pushing ourselves to do things that our system is screaming, "Hey, this isn't for me." It's the thing where there's a part of you that says, "No, this is for you, it's just maybe deeply uncomfortable right
mm,
now."
mm,
Because if our circumstances aren't aligning for our highest good, there's no amount of coping skills or therapy that or 12-step or recovery that's gonna keep you safe or healthy in that. So it's recognizing when we do need to create change when our environment, our circumstances aren't working,
mm.
and that's where we wanna try something different. And there's that time when it's, "No, I don't wanna do this, and I need to do
Yeah.
this."
Man, I love that.
Yeah.
Boy, listening to you, you put it so well, but at the same time, you put it so like so simply put, and I think that's where all the power is, and the simplicity, not the complexity.
Mhm.
And because everybody, we have to, I don't know, we have to do all this stuff all the time, it's calculus and all that. But when somebody just puts it simply, but authentically, and just genuinely, like I don't know, man. For me, that just resonates with somebody who's hurting because, like,
Mhm.
I love the way you use the word resilience. Because at Beachway Therapy, we're very well known for our trauma track, our
Mhm.
trauma program. Very where they come from all over.
Mhm.
But we took that name away. I think I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago now. It's called our resilience program,
Mhm.
and I love the way you brought that up because a lot of people were holding on to that word and it
Mhm.
wasn't serving them in the way we would like to see them. We say, yes, that was something that happened to you. Yes, but you're resilient.
Mhm.
So we created the resilience program. It's a 1, 2, 3 step process. So
Mhm.
obviously the first goal is to get them safe.
Yeah.
Make them feel safe so they can do the work.
Mhm.
And then once they do the work, then they implement in the third phase. It's just a wonderful process.
I love that.
Yeah, and I love the word resilient because it really is true. Like you said, when you're unhealthy or you're going through stuff, and I don't know, or maybe mean things are happening to you, or you have hurt people in your life, so they're hurting others because that's what hurt people do.
Mhm.
And those people are like, you can do whatever you put your mind to. It's like they got like this 2 foot long finger, like when I was unhealthy, I hated that because my
Mhm.
dad was a physician, a pretty well-known doctor in Manhattan, but he didn't have very good. I loved him to death, but I also hated him at the same time, if that makes sense. Maybe that's part of the dysfunction, but in my own journey, I learned how to love him. But prior to that, you can do anything you want to do. And well, if I could do anything I wanted to do, maybe I could use a little help. I'm a
Mhm.
15-year-old kid, and I'm just, my dad's this doctor, and
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, it just always made me feel so
Mhm.
I hated that. You can do anything you want. You put your mind to it. But now I love it because it's so true.
Yeah.
It's that willingness thing. Like,
Yeah. And it's knowing we don't have to do it all overnight. Like, we often see people that have had success or that are doing well, and we see them in that moment,
mm,
but we don't see everything that came before. You know, It's been a dream of mine to open this practice for 10 years.
Wow.
It took me 10 years to get to this
Yeah, yeah,
place,
yeah.
and so you can see someone's accomplishments,
Yeah.
but we often don't see all the work that came before it. So allowing ourselves to the 1% change, like, I love that work of 1%
Mm,
every day,
mm,
and knowing that the small moments and small wins really matter
mm.
and that they add up, and our nervous system loves consistent little change.
It does,
So
yeah.
I'm even though I like intensives, I'm not the therapist that's like, "I'm gonna sell you on some quick fix," because it's not real.
Yeah.
It might have brief relief or brief impact, but to create sustainable change, it's that consistency over time.
Yeah, but if you do stuff that's quick, it's just like drugs or alcohol. It's an
Mhm.
illusion, you know? Anything that comes easy or quickly goes
Yeah.
easy or quickly, you know? Like this, it takes work, anything. You
Mhm.
know, like, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, those corny sayings. You're saying all those corny sayings again," you know? Well, these sayings came up, I think, most of the majority in my book or my world, they're very valid. Like,
Yeah.
dreams do come true. You know what I mean? And you can shake your hands, dream comes true, yeah, take all that stuff, and or you can actually listen to somebody that just told you, "I've been working on this 10 years, and it's always been a dream, and here it is." Dreams come true, my friends. You know,
Mhm.
we gotta start changing the conversation and what we're validating and what we're not giving validation, you know? It's
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
amazing what we can do.
Yeah. And I think it's important to hold that light and that hope and, like you were saying, like, there's a lot of hurt right now. And so to balance it out and, like, we can experience 2 things at once, and we can feel the hurt, and it's important to hold the light
Mm,
and to hold our hope and to find the glimmers of moments that give us that sense of humanity, that sense of feeling,
yeah.
of possibility, the awe and wonder.
I call them experiences.
Mhm.
You know, like all these experiences you've been elaborating on, you know, it's all, you know, like you said, like for the nervous system or for the body and overall or for the soul, you know, I don't care
Mhm.
what, but just in general, you know, it's in the experiences that I can get well or I can stay sick.
Mhm.
You know, kind of like, you know, we've had past experiences that weren't very nice or they got us sick. Well, then why
Mhm.
can't the good experiences, you know, be good for me? If other things were bad for me through an
Mhm.
experience, well, why can't something be good for me through an experience?
Mhm.
We just have to be willing to experience it.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm really glad you experienced this process and you did something with it and you've always listened to that calling. I love that intuition, you know. There's that thing that I think it's beyond knowledge, you know, because really can't tell. Like nobody can specifically. Well, gee, Sarah, I know exactly when that happened to you when you started doing something with your life, and you started when you're taking walk. Like you can't pinpoint it, but it's
Mhm.
there. It's very
Mhm.
intriguing, and I'm really glad you tapped into it. I got it. We got. It's about time to wrap it up. So I just wanted to, just ask you: is there anything you would want to say to that one person that may be listening before we go? And
Yeah. I think it's never too late, and to allow yourself the gift of healing and the gift of connection and creating safety so that you can enjoy being with yourself.
love that.
Yeah.
There's only one you.
Mhm. It's our home.
How would somebody get in touch with you if we reached that one person today?
My website is rhythmholisticcounseling.com. My Instagram is at therapy with SM. And my email is hello@rhythmholisticcounseling.com.
I love that. Hey, I am very happy that you joined us today. I'm grateful that Sarah was able to come too and just share a little bit of everything. But that always adds up to a wonderful recipe. And I hopefully somebody maybe today will entertain that recipe and maybe reach out to her. If you need to get me, I'm like Sarah. I have all of the accounts, Instagram, and all that. My email's tim.r@beachway.com. I know Sarah's here for you. I'm here for you. And if you need me, before you talk to Sarah, I could care less. It doesn't matter, but don't get like that. She's a wonderful person, and she's very committed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have her on here because there's just too many people that are watching this now. So it means a lot to me, and thank you for coming. And I hope we together brought you something that was worthwhile, and you'll do something with it. Until next time, we're wishing you peace and love.